grate me in the mouth. Yes.
Okay. I absolutely love Miley Cyrus.
That was the sickest snipe ever.
Hey. No. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Call Guys podcast. I'm Gunner, also known as Chico Noise. I'm a two-time podcast host, avid video gamer, and a connoisseur of Velveeta, shells, and cheese. Alongside me, as always, my good friend Colton Keel, or as I like to call him, Juan Keel for three.
Oh my! How's everyone? How are you doing today, buddy? How was your work day?
Oh
Did you go to work
man,
today?
yeah, I was at work
Did you even
today.
go to work?
I work every day, and I work
You
hard
work.
every day. And well, except for Saturday and Sunday, but there will be Saturdays and Sundays, I'm sure, coming up here soon. So
Oh yeah, why's that?
it's just we'll get to busy season, and we'll start working and working and working.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you like? Velveeta shells and cheese?
Yeah, not
Like out
my
of the box?
favorite mac. Yeah, like not my favorite mac and cheese. I'll be honest. I love mac and cheese and hot dogs. Like I will.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, mac and cheese and hot dogs. They go peas and carrots.
Yeah.
I like the blue box mac and cheese.
Like Kraft,
Oh yeah,
just
yep,
straight
that's
up.
the best. That's the best kind.
Yeah, I bet people fight you on that one.
That's okay. I'm ready. Got those hands ready. Stay
Yeah.
ready. All star here. You don't have to get ready if you stay ready. So remember that, folks.
Yeah. Well, the only reason I said Velveeta shells and cheese is because for dinner tonight I was gonna grill burgers outside, but we've got this crazy, like, it rains for 2 seconds and then the sun's out for 2 seconds and it's windy, and the moment I wanted to grill it was downpouring, so
Go figure.
I just threw them in the cast iron skillet and made some Velveeta shells and cheese because I'll just grill out some other time, I guess.
Cooking connoisseur. Look at you.
Yeah.
Always know how to get the job done.
Some days. How was your week? You have a good week?
It's another pretty slow week. I mean, we're just in that lull season where it just goes. It's not hot enough for AC and it's not cold enough for winter. But I mean, we had that nice little kick of 40-degree weather after a really, really nice weather, but it's not cold enough. That's the problem. But I mean, I don't know. We're getting ready. We've got some big jobs coming up and
That's good.
making sure that's good to go.
I know you said you've been out on deliveries pretty much every day this week. So
Yeah, I'm trying to get more of a routine down since I'm an outside sales guy.
yeah,
So I'm trying to get more of a route down, trying to get certain people met up on certain days and all that kind of fun stuff.
yep. Gotta keep it on task. That's faux show. What else? How's the kid? How's the wife? Everybody good?
The he's teething again. He's got some molars coming in, so he's been a real fun joy this week for sleep. As my wife will tell anybody that I do not hear him, and I don't. I wish I did every once in a while. There's some nights I wish I heard him. Other nights I'm like, I just wake up and I say, well, I hope he wasn't bad for you. So
She's getting up to take care of him in the middle
oh
of the night.
yeah, that's the thing. If she sometimes because she's a nurse and she has to work call late sometimes, and if she like works late, like if she's got to go in from like 11 to 3, which she's done before,
Yeah.
I stay up that entire time because I know if I fall asleep I won't hear him. So I'm paranoid from 11 to I'm paranoid from like 11 to 4. And I'm like,
Man.
And
So
so far every time we've done it, she's had to gone in that late for that long. He hasn't woken up.
He just sleeps through. He knows it's dad. He's like, Dad's not gonna wake up to come get me. I'm just gonna sleep through the night.
Sure,
He knows.
I sure hope so.
you hope that's his thought process. Oh man.
He's
Well, that's
passed
good.
out right now. So
Yeah. I mean, he seems like every time I see him, he seems like he's doing really well. Just overall.
He's super close to walking.
Yeah.
Super close. Like before, you'd take two hands and walk with him, and he'd walk and get all giddy. Now if you take one hand, he'll walk. He's super super close.
Yeah, he's getting there. I remember not too long ago, it just seemed like he just rolled over for the first time.
Oh my gosh, yeah, he's something else right now. But love the little guy to death.
What was the conversation I had today at work with my boss? It was eventually they're just going to be asking you for a car and money. So
Yeah,
that day will
I
come.
you spend the first couple years of their life teaching them to talk, and you spend the next 16 years telling them to shut up, I guess.
Yeah. Yep. That's life.
how's uh,
Sure.
how's Sarah?
Man, she's good. She had this thing the last month where she had PTO, so she was taking like 1 day a week off, so she'd get to stay home or go out and go shopping or just kind of have a day to herself, which was nice. Other than that, man, she's just, her back's been killing her, and it's been hard on both of us. So a lot
I
of
guess
lot going on there. But
that's no fun.
no, especially when she's just in excruciating pain. We went to my dad's buddy's birthday party last Saturday, turned 50. Um, go Chiefs if he's listening, by the way. Um, but
Oh, jeez.
she was supposed to go with us, and we left relatively early, and man, she was just not feeling it. So she
Hmm,
stayed home, and we went on the trip. And some days are good, some days are bad, but that's how
that's
it
life.
goes. Yeah,
That's life.
herniated disc is not apparently not something that you want. So
I believe you there, man.
yeah. Oh yeah. No, but other than
I
that,
believe.
it's been pretty good. Nothing else crazy going on. Just kind of work, come home, work, come home.
That's good.
Talk to you a lot. Talk to you a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah. That hasn't changed.
We talked a lot this week, actually.
Yeah, I think we did. I felt like we did.
Yeah, about every
Well,
day.
you had that big Chiefs news, and
Oh man, yeah.
you
What
want
did
to
I?
talk about it now is the time to get your feelings out right now.
All right, let's
Speak,
talk about the Chiefs,
speak,
and
speak to the people.
then we can just go right back to IU.
Oh no, they are done.
Yeah.
we're,
Um.
we're
Yeah. The Chiefs traded off Tyreek Hill, and you
gotta
gotta.
score.
Yeah, they did five picks for the next 2 years. A couple of good picks this year and a couple okay picks next year. I mean, it wasn't anything crazy. I think the craziest part of it was the fact that we traded him off. But when you can't come up to a deal, and he literally just bought a house in Miami, so I mean, if it makes sense for him, then it is what it is.
Collusion is what it sounds like.
Yeah, I don't know. I think.
I don't know
Oh,
if I
do
lived
you
if I lived in Kansas City if I had to live in Kansas City during the winter months, I'd probably buy a Miami place too.
do you think it's possible that he bought that property knowing that he wasn't going to get a contract, and then was like,
Try to force his way to Miami.
yeah,
I mean, that's thinking a little bit cynical of the guy. I mean, most of the time, you hear of guys selling their houses before their trade talks come up, and then all of a
yeah,
sudden they're they're gone. So I mean, sometimes that happens, but I mean, it's Miami. He lives in Kansas City. These guys got the money for that kind of stuff. So I wouldn't say. I think it was just more coincidence than anything. But I
yeah.
think he's from Miami. Isn't he from Miami?
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
So I mean, he also might have just been getting a place for that reason too, just be closer to home.
Yeah, and the one thing about it is like you couldn't come up with a deal with him, and I think Miami offered him a lot. I don't
Oh,
remember the
buku,
exact number, but
buku.
like it was like 5 times what we were offering him. So
I
I
want to
mean,
say it was like 80 million guaranteed or something like that.
yeah,
120
79.
million
I
or something like that.
think
79
79. Yeah,
guaranteed.
yeah,
I mean, he knows. I mean, he's one injury away from anything on his legs, and
yeah,
he's done.
yep.
I mean, he's just a little dude, but he is dynamic. They've been making fun of. There's been a lot of memes going out of people throwing bad footballs and saying this is going to be two at a Tyreek Hill. A lot of Tim Tebow. A lot of Tim Tebow low lights.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I hope he does good in Miami. That's all I can do. He was great in Kansas City, so I hope he goes there and he does just as good. I don't know how well Miami's putting together a team this year and how well they did last year. I didn't really pay much attention to him, but I think he's a good player and he's going to be good wherever he's at. So
I think Miami lost their first 7 games and then won the next 7 games.
sounds like the Dolphins.
Yeah, they are in purgatory.
Yeah.
Football purgatory is what they are in. Not good enough for a lottery pick or high draft pick, but not good enough to do anything in the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, who knows? Maybe he'll turn it around for him. Not that one player can do it, but I
One
mean,
player helps.
it does.
A guy like that helps.
Yep. For sure. Yeah, but you know, I've been a Chiefs fan for a long time. I've seen the ups and downs. I've seen the bads, the goods. So one little thing like this doesn't really disappoint me as much as it probably disappoints some of the like diehard
newer
fans
fans?
or the newer fans. Yeah. I guess I'm kind of in the middle there. I'm a pretty big Chiefs fan, but I don't go out of my way to know, every single player's background and what their stats were 5 years ago. Like I don't look into that kind of thing. I watch the games. I enjoy going to Kansas City. I enjoy going to the games. I enjoy wearing
You're
all
a
my
proud
gear and
you're a proud supporter of the organization.
yeah.
You're
And I
not
love
necessarily you're not necessarily there for the players. You're there for the actual organization that is
yeah,
the Chiefs.
I like that. That's good. That's good.
Well, I get it a lot. I get it a lot with NBA because I talk. Well, when I do get to talk NBA with people, you find out in the NBA a lot more people are interested and more loyal to players than they are to organizations.
Yeah.
I am loyal. I'm Boston, the Celtics. I'm loyal to the Celtics and everyone on that team. If you get traded off that team or you went off that team, you're dead to me. Unless it's a trade. Trade is a
Yeah.
trade, but if you want out or you don't re-up with us, then yeah, you're pretty much dead to me. So I'm okay with that. But I'm there for the organization
Yeah.
as
Hey,
well for that. Well, I guess for that and for the Bears and all my teams really.
yeah.
So
It's the type of fan we like to be.
well, I just my thing is like I struggle with getting jerseys from from players on my teams who are still playing.
Yeah.
So I've got this rule is that you have to be retired and either in the Hall of Fame or close to being in the Hall of Fame, or your jersey is your number is retired for that organization.
Gotcha. So
Like I
Darren
get yeah.
Darren and I, well, okay, I actually blame it more on Darren. He gave me the jersey curse, and he had the jersey curse really bad. He bought a Cubs player's jersey, the year after they won the World Series, I think, and the guy retired the next year. Like it was crazy. And then Pat McAfee, he bought a Pat McAfee jersey. McAfee left the next year. Like it was just like one thing after another. And Sarah got me my Dustin Colquitt jersey.
Oh, nice.
And then he left the next year. So I mean, yeah, he handed that curse off to me, and now it's like I'm afraid to buy a jersey or anything. Like I have a Kelsey jersey, but it was gifted to me, and luckily there hasn't been an injury, knock on wood, or he hasn't left the Chiefs, which I don't know that he ever will at this point. But I mean, it is what it is.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Do we got a question of the day?
Do we have a question of the day?
Yeah, I'm just curious. I don't know.
Of course, we have a question of the day, Colton. Come on, man. The question of the day.
Let's hear it.
It's a good one. A little background on it before we start.
Okay.
Sarah and I were sitting on the couch watching Castle, I think, which we're rewatching because it's one of my favorite shows of all time. and I'm a huge crime drama buddy cop show kind of nerd. So we're watching that, and I don't know where it came from. She's like, I have a question for you guys to ask on the question of the day or question of the podcast, question of the podcast. And I'm like, okay, give it to me. So here's the question of the podcast. What would you sing at karaoke night?
Simple.
Simple.
Baby got back. Sir Mix-a-Lot. Done.
Is there a background behind that or a reason why?
I don't know. I think it just gets the people going. It's a good show. I have movements. I have moves for certain parts in the songs. So yeah, it's a good time. I'd like to think I'm putting on a performance
Gotcha.
for the people out there.
So there's a lot of
And
dancing and shaking the booty.
Yeah. We're moving. We're doubling up. Double up.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's probably about as far as we can go before copyright. Because Sir Mix-a-Lot is out there looking for cash on these things.
Oh, I bet. And now you just what is it, slander? You just slandered him saying he was broke, so now he's gonna come suing us. Oh man. I mean, that's a good one. I'm not really into that, like getting up there and doing a show kind of karaoke.
Well, I mean, I don't know too many people that do karaoke without some liquid encouragement, so to speak.
Oh yeah, yep.
And at that point in time, like I could at that point, I mean, I feel like I'm on top of the world at that point in time, so I might as well just let it all out.
Yeah. Yeah, we used to go to the Chug. I don't even remember what night they did karaoke, but down in Muncie, I saw you there one time actually.
Yeah.
Randomly out of nowhere.
I've been there a couple times.
So I went with a couple buddies from down there, and we go in, and it's karaoke night, of course. Well, we had a couple, maybe a lot. I don't remember how much. And of course, we go up on stage, and we did "Don't Stop Believing." And I'll tell you what, there are people that have videos of me up there because people I didn't know that were there that I was friends with in college took video of me up on the stage, and it was not good. Not good at all. Just as high pitched as I could go, screaming at the top of my lungs. But that is not my go-to for karaoke. My go-to, Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy. Every time.
Why is that?
I have this feeling, and maybe it's just me, but I have a beautiful country voice, and I can match as closely as I can to those vocals. And I think I sound good. And I have some video of me singing that too.
We sound good. We all think we sound good karaoke.
Yeah. Yeah. And if I'm feeling pretty good, I might just throw in some 5 o'clock somewhere in there. So yeah. When you know all the words to them, and growing up, my dad was in a country band at one point, and like there are occasions where I get in that mood where I want to listen to some good country. And so, I mean, yeah, Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy, 5 o'clock somewhere. However I'm feeling.
But I'm pretty much a one-trick pony on this.
One trick.
Put up, boom.
I like it. Are you watching basketball in the background?
What? Dude,
I totally do.
I've got my phone is it's going up right now.
Yeah.
Like people just texting me about this Purdue game and Purdue this, Purdue that. Like everyone at my work is all Purdue except for one other guy. And it's just like, man, I'm tired of listening to Purdue and Purdue that, Purdue this. Like, so now I feel like I've got to watch it. So then that way when Monday rolls around or I go to church Sunday, there'll be talking points that I can be like, hey, well, I saw this. I'm surprised Purdue isn't getting enough help from the refs this game. I mean, their last 4 out of their 5 games, they've doubled the free throw made they've had more free throws made than the opponent has made, or that's
Really?
taken. Doubled. That's a crazy statistic to have. You know what's even crazier is they're 4-1 when they have more fouls called for them.
Hmm.
Oh, it's just weird. It's just when they don't get calls and they don't get free throws, they don't win.
Here you go, ref. Here you go, ref.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. They're cheating. I know they're cheating. I know they're cheating. So, oh, you're so freedom. But
Was
yeah,
that
so I,
your Home Alone?
yeah, that was. I do that. I do that every time. Every time I was like, freedom. Joe Pesci.
Some Joe Pesci.
I
Yeah.
watched that Netflix has that series that movies that made us,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's on there, and they talk about they talk about how Pesci improvised that,
Yeah.
and he just came up with it because that was the one big thing that everybody was worried about was just at that time Pesci was a mobster, and I mean he was known. I mean at the time I think he had one of the top movies with the F word being used.
Yeah.
Like that was his movie. Those are the movies he just made, and I think he just came off of My Cousin Vinny.
I
It
think
was
so.
either it was
Yeah.
either before or right after Home Alone. He did My Cousin Vinny, and everybody it's just, it he I don't even think he cussed in that movie outside of the fragile.
Yeah. If I remember right from the episode, I remember them saying that they told him he couldn't
Yeah.
because of the kids. There were just so many kids on set, and they didn't want them to hear him.
And I think they were also trying to make it a PG movie or a
Yeah.
PG-13, or like they were trying to give it like a kid's rating, and I was like, you know, thinking like not knowing, and then growing up, I started watching Joe Pesci movies and realizing like, okay, the Pesci always plays that dude who's gonna crack your skull in, and
Yeah.
why did he make this movie?
You
Like,
know what? But he is one of the characters that people remember from Home Alone. I mean,
oh yeah.
not that there were very many characters throughout the movie, but like, yeah, there he just has that attitude and that way he acts, and it just sticks out, and it just makes that such a unique character. And I think he's just such a unique guy in general. Like, what is he Italian? I would assume.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Like,
he's got a beautiful singing voice. I'm
oh
telling
yeah,
you, YouTube Joe Pesci singing, it's gorgeous.
yeah.
It's like I mean, if you just think of what Joe Pesci looks like, and then you listen to him sing, it's not the same.
You think of that high pitched squeaky voice he has, and yeah, I'll have to look that up later. Actually, before we get into what we want to talk about today, which is something that's pretty important to us, if you get a chance, go on Netflix and watch the movies that made us. It is one of the best documentary style shows I've seen, and it covers a lot of really good classic movies. A lot.
They do they it seems like they always release them during certain periods of the year.
Yeah.
Like I know they did one during the Halloween time, so they did a bunch of scary movies back in the day.
Yep.
They did one during Christmas time. They did those. I mean they seem to, and then obviously I mean you can only have, there's only so many movies about so many holidays.
Yeah.
And then I think the one thing that I really liked the most about it is that I don't think they got any like big time names to do any of the interviews. It was pretty much like directors, um screenwriters,
Yeah.
costume designers, makeup people. Like they got like all the behind the scenes people to do this. And I thought, to me, that's what made it cool, was to giving it that background
Yeah.
and that backstory that way.
There were a couple episodes that had some of the bigger actors in them. I know they did some interviews with them, but yeah, you're right. It was mostly camera operators, directors, producers, and like, so actually I think they had some makeup people on there, some of the
Yeah.
CG people. Like, it is just such a cool, if especially if you're into movies like we
Yes.
are, and you want to see like how some of these things are made, and like see just some of those movies were, I mean, you're talking late 80s, early 90s. Some of them were even before that. So, yeah, definitely go check it out. The Movies That Made Us. And yeah, it is a very, very, very good documentary.
Heck, we should rewatch those and just go through them
I think we
again.
should. Yeah. I mean, I would like to do a couple episodes on some of the movies that made us, me and you, some of the movies that when we were growing up actually like caused us to really love breaking these things down and talking about them.
Oh, you.
Let me just point to Bill and Ted in my background. Okay, I remember the first time I watched Bill and Ted. I think it was during it was during my parents used to have a party once a year called Slam Jam, and I might be wrong. It might have been a different event, but it just seems like it was that weekend to me. So we had a sand volleyball court in our backyard.
I
And
remember that.
yeah, and they would get people out and they would have teams and they would play a tournament of sand volleyball. And
Huh.
then in the evening, my dad would have a stage set up, which he built, and they would have the bands play. So like the country band he was in, some of the rock bands he was in, they would play. Well, I remember one night, and everybody would camp out in the backyard. So there were just tents everywhere. And my parents have 5 acres, I think, or something like that. So, I mean, they have a pretty decent sized yard. So everybody had their tents out set up. But I remember staying in the shed that night because we had a bunk up in there and like we laid out like sleeping bags on the floor. It's a nicer shed, not anymore, but it used to be. Um, and I remember going back inside and my dad was laying on the couch and Bill and Ted was on and I sat there and watched it with him. And I think I might have came in like quarter of the way in, but that was the moment that I was like, I love this movie. and
Oh my
and I
gosh.
I I don't know what it. I always think about it when I'm watching it, like the first time I watched it, and I think about that a lot with movies. Like if I start watching a movie and I know I've seen it before, I try to think back to the first time I saw that movie, which I think is a kind of a fun like thing to look back on, especially when you're
Yeah.
watching a movie from when we were way younger, and thinking, man, was I like 5 years old when I saw this, and like what did I think then compared to what I think now? So that'd be kind of a cool perspective to look at if you could go back and see your thoughts from all those years ago and be like,
Man.
what did my 5-year old self or 10-year old self think of this? And what do I think of it now? Because,
That's a good. That's man. That would be a good. I'd have to really think because I mean I grew up watching John Wayne movies and
oh, yeah.
any type of war movie that was out, and my mom would allow my dad to watch,
Yeah.
allow me to watch with my dad. And I remember one time we were watching it on FX, like when FX like first came out. So they were like every once in a while they play movies that just dropped like one or two f bombs and they wouldn't bleep them out.
Yeah.
And we were watching Commando, and Schwarzenegger says something, and he just dropped the f bomb. And my dad looks at me, and my mom's looking at my dad, and my dad looks at me. He just doesn't even look at my mom. He's like, well, I guess we better change that movie. I just lost it.
Oh my gosh. Commando. Yeah.
Gosh, I'm not a big action guy movie lover. Like any of those actors, anything I believe anything led by Stallone, Schwarzenegger, um, Chuck Norris, like those type of actors, all those movies suck.
On they're
They're
always
just
cheesy.
well, they're cheesy. You know what's gonna happen in the first 10 minutes of the movie. You know how it ends,
Yeah.
and it's just. But my dad, he loves them. Like anybody from the Expendables, no, that's not a good movie.
One exception. One exception and one exception only is Die Hard. And yeah, you can't go wrong with Die Hard. And don't tell me you don't like Die Hard because you gotta like Die Hard.
Are you telling me what I can and can't do?
Yes, yes, I am.
Interesting.
Die Hard's a great movie.
Yeah.
It's not a Christmas movie, just so y'all know.
It is not a Christmas movie. Thank you.
Yeah, but I can watch it once a year during when it came out in July, which is why it's not a Christmas movie. Anything
That
can be
is,
set during Christmas. Was
yeah.
Hawkeye a Christmas show? Exactly. Exactly. And I wanted to use that. Let's segue that bad boy into what we're going to
Oh
talk about
my
today. How
gosh,
about that?
like a two-time pod champ.
That's
Just
right.
segues seamlessly into the next topic.
Yeah. But the only way to actually segue is to mention that you're going to segue.
That's a good point.
So, Colton and I really probably a year ago, close to, started rewatching all of the Marvel movies. I want to say it was probably about maybe a year and a half because I think we rewatched them. And
We rewatched them for Endgame.
dang, has that been 2 years then?
Yeah.
Okay, it has been 2 years. So yeah, we rewatched them and we took notes. And I know Colton took way more in-depth notes because I'm pretty sure he has a yellow pad, one of those little yellow legal pads, just full of notes on these movies,
Oh,
like
if I
like
could find,
lines.
I thought I
He's
had
looking
it.
for them because he knows they're around somewhere.
I do. I got them, and they were
Yeah,
like, and it was just like thoughts of what was going on at the movie at the time.
yeah, yeah. And sitting in his living room in his underwear, probably watching them.
Probably.
So in the midst of all this, once we got done with, rewatching all them, and we went and saw Endgame, and we discussed that, and we talked about everything
Do
with
you
that.
remember? Did you come over for the party?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so
Breeze
my
meal. We should talk about
yes.
that. We should, yeah.
I was gonna say that's one of the things I remember about that was that meal. My wife did an
I'll post a picture of
amazing
it
job.
when I post the episode.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
She did
yeah.
an amazing spread of like so we took the play on the Infinity Stones and their colors and we made like she made what's the word? I don't want to say hors d'oeuvres, but like
It was a full meal.
it was
I
like a
mean, it
meal,
was,
yeah.
yeah,
Because I think for the Redstone we did like a little bit of steak or something like
yeah,
that.
yep, yep.
And then I remember for I think gosh, I'd have to look. I can't
There
remember
was,
right
I
now.
remember Hawkeye corn. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
Uh-huh.
Um, oh man, there was so much.
I think there was a Black Widow drink.
Yeah, yep, yep,
Um it was an Iron Man steak.
yep, yep. That's right.
Um
I will 100% post a picture of that when I put this episode up because that was
yeah.
awesome. I remember coming over and just seeing it all, and I think the bread was Thor's hammer, wasn't it? It was Thor's hammer roll or something like that.
Something
I don't
yeah,
remember.
I can't remember the play.
It was
She
so
did a
good
really
though.
good job though.
She did. So yeah, so we would go see Endgame, and after that, we decide that we want to list our top 10 Marvel movies. And it was to the point where we actually created an Excel sheet with those movies and art, like all of them listed by phases. And then the TV shows listed as we were watching them, we'd put the new ones in. And my bad, when you guys see this, I don't have it updated all the way through phase 4 because we really haven't talked about anything Marvel for a while since Hawkeye. But
Yeah, not to the extent of hey man, let's break out the spreadsheets.
yeah, exactly. And then we listed my top 10 and then Colton's top 10. So you're going to see that here in a second. I'm going to get it pulled up. So here is our Excel sheet of our top 10s. It's nothing spectacular. It's just something that I put together pretty quick one day when we were talking about it. For everybody that's listening on the actual podcast or on Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere that you can get us, I just want you to know that I'm going to post this picture if you want to see it later. It's not really that exciting, but I'm going to have it on there. I'll take a screenshot, post it with the podcast and the podcast notes and everything on social media so you can see it too. So
I know someone that listens to this on Amazon Music. That's where they found
man,
our
we are everywhere now.
everywhere.
So
Everywhere.
we use Podbean as our distributor, I guess you would call them. And it is some things are a little complicated on there, but other than that, it's been really cool being able to plug in things and get an RSS feed and just send it out everywhere. So Spotify, Apple Music, or Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, just everywhere. Amazon Music, it's on everything. We're also up on YouTube if you want to watch us talk, and you can actually see us, some of our reactions to some of the things we say. So yeah, you can listen to us about anywhere. We do have a link tree, so if you go to that, you can actually look at all of our stuff, which will also be in the notes here on the podcast. So you can click on there, and it'll take you anywhere you want to go. So Facebook page, YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, everywhere you want to go. So yeah, it's really nice to be able to just get it all in one spot and be able to do it and not have to worry, and it'll auto post the episodes or however we want to do it. So
Makes sense.
yeah, yeah. So if you're ever looking into doing a podcast, Podbean or even Anchor, I think is what the Murdnerds use to get their stuff out. So yeah, they're all super helpful programs or websites, I guess. So but yeah, so in our top tens, we put this together and we talk about it quite a bit, especially when there's a new Marvel movie coming out or a new show starting. Like this is something that we try to keep updated pretty regularly. Obviously, since Hawkeye came out, we haven't really done a whole lot with it. I think the last Marvel movie to come out was Spider-Man, so and we've just talked about that here and there. And Colton can give you the whole rundown on how much he loves that movie. So
Is that this episode? Let me tell me. Is this episode? I'm praying. Is this? Please, please, please,
I think
please, please, please.
I think you can hit on it a little bit in this episode. But
Done.
first, I want you to kind of go
Done.
through I want you to go through your top 10 and just kind of explain some of the things and some of the movies you have up there. So,
Well, I think honestly, I would change some of mine, because I haven't really hit mine recently.
Mhm.
Like I think I'd put, I would probably put Far From Home, or
Okay.
yeah, the newest one. That's the newest one, right?
No Way Home.
No Way Home, man.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're good.
I'd probably put No Way Home in my top 10, probably, but I'd only probably put it like 8. So I would probably bump Ant-Man out and keep Guardians at 10.
Okay.
Um, move the Avengers down 1.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I think the reason music to me, obviously, the soundtrack can make or break a movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And that's why I have both Guardians of the Galaxy in here for that reason.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
just
if you look behind,
the stories that they use is the music that they use. It's crazy how they've really used them in the story
yeah.
to tell them. Um, I like Black Panther a lot. Probably my favorite comic book guy is Black Panther. So that's an obvious top 5 for me. Just talked about Guardians and Ragnarok. I think it hits a lot more on the comedy side of things. Like, I think
Yeah.
that's one of the funnier movies. What I'm coming to find out is Doctor Strange is a really good. I feel like it's a really good supporting comedy actor.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
though I don't think he's technically playing it, but I think it's just I think it's just his deliveries and all that stuff. Maybe it's that British part in
I
him.
think he's got that dad humor to him, or almost like that like older person trying to make the jokes of a younger person. And I think you saw that a lot in No Way Home. He just was trying to like joke with the kids, but like at the same time he was being a little try hard about it at the like he was trying to say things that he didn't really know what he was saying, I guess. And the whole Scooby Doo reference, I thought that was funny. No matter how many times I hear that, I just think that's funny because I'm a pretty
Yes.
big Scooby Doo fan. So
Yes. And honestly, Infinity War is up there for the sole fact that it's the one movie that you didn't know how it was going to end.
Mhm.
I mean, a lot of these movies, yeah, they're a little bit predictable. I mean, most of the time the good guys win, and they've kind of gotten a little away from that. I think in Phase 4, I think they're really going to get away from it. I think it's going to get a little bit darker.
Yeah.
Shang-Chi really didn't, I don't think really lived up to it as much as what I think it's gonna do, like Spider-Man Far From Home did, and what I believe is going to be the scariest movie is going to be Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about that being close to a horror film. Just I don't know if it's just gonna be like jump scares or just that dark. Um, I'm really looking forward to seeing it because I think, and I have this written in my notes, is that I really do think it's gonna make maybe one or two on my list because I think it's gonna be that good, and
Yeah.
I think it's gonna do a lot for the future of Marvel. Um, Depending on what they do, I've heard a lot of rumors and I've heard a lot of speculation. I don't know if they're gonna start bringing in X-Men. I know in the first trailer they showed us Professor X, and they started kind of getting into some stuff like that. But with all the multiverse stuff, I mean, you just you never know. So it could be nothing. It could be the future of Marvel at this point. So
Yeah, I think with that, I just hope they don't use it as a cop out. That's my biggest thing.
yeah.
As long as it sticks to the story and it flows and there's a timeline to it all. Um, I'm I don't like going back to the well, so to speak. A lot of the times, I'd like some fresher, newer stuff, and that's kind of what I'm hoping happens with Phase Four, is that we
Yeah,
do get to that. Um, it's not the fact that I don't appreciate, Scarlett Johansson, Robert Downey Jr., but I think it's just time.
yeah,
So I'm okay with that. Um, Now, as long as they're bringing in stories that coexist to the universe and help with move the MCU forward, I'm okay with it. But
yeah,
if they're just going to bring in people for agendas and stuff like that, I'll probably lose a lot of interest quick in the MCU if they're just trying to be political and make groups happy. Um, so I don't know. We'll see. They've done nothing to not earn my trust or
yeah,
for me to say I don't think they're going to do it or I don't
yeah,
think they're going to pull it out.
yeah,
So, I mean,
yeah. So we actually have quite a few movies the same in our top tens, and I think that's because when we discuss these things, we actually agree on a lot of things too. Like with, I mean, we both have Ragnarok in the top two. I have Shang-Chi up there, but I really enjoyed Shang-Chi. It kind of was one of those that came out of nowhere for me, and we saw it together, right? Did we go see that one together? No. Okay, I must have
no,
went with Sarah just on a whim. Um,
I
but
think
I
so too.
I remember going into it, and my brother always says this. He goes into things with low expectations because he doesn't want to be disappointed.
Yeah, I heard
So
that. I
yeah,
heard that.
so I go in with low expectations, and I was not disappointed in that movie. Now there were some things that were just totally out there, but I think it was one of those things. You watch Doctor Strange, and he is a wizard, a magician, whatever you want to call him, and
Sorcerer.
sorcerer, and Shang-Chi is like that same kind of thing. Like he's got like that spiritual power that Strange has. Like it's all the same. And I think that's why Doctor Strange is also in my top 10 because I like that kind of crazy, you know, powers that shouldn't exist kind of thing. And I guess that's kind of why space is up there too, because like Guardians of the Galaxy, like we can't travel in space like they can, and just seeing like how they think that things like that should work, I think that's always cool. But yeah, I guess Thor is almost the same way in that aspect too, is because he's a god and he's in space, and you see all these things that you will never probably see in your lifetime, and you see it on the big screen, and you can, enjoy those things and
Mm-hmm.
kind of get the sense of what people think it would be like. So, but yeah, Thor Ragnarok's in both of our top two. My number one, your number two. So, what is your favorite scene in Ragnarok?
Ooh, in Ragnarok. Um, I think I like the opening to it where he's in the cage and
Yeah,
he's got this monologue going, and it's just I felt like, to me, it really showed that Chris Hemsworth can hold a movie franchise by itself,
yeah,
and he just did it. I mean, anything with Korg in it was funny. I
yeah,
thought um, that was great. Um, uh, oh, the fight, the arena scene
yeah.
with the Hulk
He's a
and
friend from work.
my friend. He's a friend from work.
Yeah,
And then Loki freaking out the whole time over it.
yep.
I
So
mean, Jeff Goldblum, I felt like, to me, he was a little bit of a breath of fresh air.
yeah,
Um,
I agree. I think it was definitely a random casting, but it worked so well. And Jeff Goldblum is always that kind of, you know, sly character, no matter
yeah.
what he's in, which is, I think he did really well in Ragnarok. Um, I think my favorite scene though is probably Get Help, just because him and Loki have such a good relationship, even though it's like they hate each other, but they don't hate each other. It's so back and forth, and I think brother, every set of brothers has that same relationship, and you can just see it in them. And I think they show that really well. But yeah, I think this is one of the funniest to me. Maybe Guardians is up there too, but I think Ragnarok has some of the best humor in it, and most of it is that dumb humor, which we've talked about before, is why I like Bill and Ted so much. It just has that dumb humor, and Ragnarok has that same dumb humor. And I think Hemsworth is smart, and I think that Thor himself is really smart. He's just that big, bulky guy that acts dumb sometimes. And
Lovable oaf.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think Get Help is probably one of my favorite scenes just because of that dumb humor. But in the flip side of that, Ragnarok does get dark at the end. Like,
Oh
if it
yeah.
wasn't for the end of Ragnarok, you wouldn't have the start of Infinity War and into Endgame. Like, that is, I think the end of Ragnarok is really the turning point, and it kind of almost is like the pre-movie to Infinity War, really, because you get the scene of them getting on that ship, and then the first scene in Infinity War is this ship getting destroyed. And
Yeah.
and imagine how dark that actually is. How many people Thanos actually killed on that ship just to get the Tesseract?
I mean, even if you, look at New Asgard. Look how small that island that is. Is that they all?
Yeah,
That's all of them.
yeah.
So most of them had to have died.
Well, how many people in New Asgard were actually people that lived in that town beforehand?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
That's a
because
good point.
I don't necessarily think they built that town from scratch. I think it was probably somewhere they just moved to, right? I mean, I don't know, but
I would assume.
another thing that I'm excited for is to see where they go with Love and Thunder, because I think it's going to be a really cool take on what they can do with Thor from here on out, and whether they're going to get rid of Chris Hemsworth and bring in Natalie Portman, which I really hope they don't, um, or just bring in Valkyrie more, which I really like Valkyrie.
I'd be more down with Valkyrie taking more of a bigger role
Yeah,
than Portman.
yeah,
That was my first note when I watched when I watched Thor, and
yeah.
I said, "Why is Natalie Portman in this movie?" That was my first thought.
Yeah. Were you upset when they said they were going to bring her back then?
Yeah, because I don't know. I just feel like now she's around for the cash grab.
Yeah, I don't think you.
I just felt like she bounced on everything else outside of Thor, and it just
Yeah,
it made for a couple funny one-liners between Thor and Iron Man, but
yeah,
I just thought she bounced on the franchise. I'd rather have Valkyrie in a more supportive and leaded role, which at the end of Endgame is what Thor was giving her.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, what's your favorite scene from Homecoming?
Homecoming. Well, I have Homecoming up there not because of anything in particular, um, besides the fact that I love Spider-Man, and I think that he has been one of my favorite characters in comic books and any superhero show or any superhero movie. And I was a big Tobey Maguire fan when the originals came out, and when Andrew Garfield played, I really enjoyed watching his movies. And then knowing that what they've done now, I think it gave me a little bit more love even for them, even though I and we're gonna we're gonna climb this hill no matter what we talk about, because Colton and I both saw No Way Home together, and neither one of us really
We had
enjoyed
the
it.
same. We left the theater and we said, "What do you think?" And we're like, "Okay."
Yeah. I mean, there
Like
wasn't.
that was my takeaway. Okay, let's just do this now. I don't think we can hold on anymore. No Way Home is an above average movie at best. It is not a Spider-Man movie. It is a it's more of a Doctor Strange movie than it is a Spider-Man movie. When you look at the whole universe. Even though, because I mean, he's erased himself. He's a nobody now. There is no Spider-Man to these people, essentially.
Mhm.
No Spider-Man. So movies cannot be rated and based off of nostalgia all alone. There is a lot that goes into a movie. A
Yep.
lot more that goes into the movie other than just the cast. I thought the storyline sucked. I thought the they it's like they just said, "Hey Toby, Andrew, um we're going to need you guys to carry this movie, and we're going to hope and pray that these writers just write you good lines, and that at some point in time you end up doing the Spider-Man meme."
Well, listen. They didn't. I don't think the writers really ever wrote them their own lines. I think they took lines from their movies and said, "Hey, I need you to re-say this the same way you said it 15 years ago, because guess what? People are gonna love it if you say that. If you say your back hurts, people are gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, it was the best thing ever." And then, like, and you're right, nostalgia cannot make a movie. There's a lot of other things that should. And I'm not saying this was a horrible movie, because I love Marvel. I love everything that the MCU has done. I didn't hate the movie. I haven't hated any of the Marvel movies that I've ever seen, besides maybe one. That everybody knows which one that is. But I love Spider-Man, and I love Tobey Maguire, and I love Andrew Garfield, and I love Tom Holland. But I think you're right. I think the supporting characters almost did more for the movie than Peter Parker did any variant of him. So, and Doctor Strange was the biggest one.
Yeah.
But I think they needed that. I think they did it on purpose, because they needed to lead into um Multiverse of Madness and make that the next big thing, which it is going to be the next big thing.
Yeah, it was a setup movie for Multiverse of Madness, in my opinion. That just so happened to have all three Spider-Mans.
Yeah. I think I did the opposite of what my brother would say. I went into Spider-Man with such high expectations because everybody was loving it so much. Everybody's like, "Oh my god, it was one of the greatest movies. Oh my gosh, this was so good." And I was like, "All right, I am ready for this." And then you go in and you watch it, and it's like, "Oh,
It's good.
okay.
It's
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
I would rewatch it right now if I could. I would.
Yeah, I need to go back and rewatch it. I want to go back and rewatch it, and I want to watch it with a different perspective. I don't want to watch it with the hype I had before. I want to watch it
Correct.
with me just watching it.
Yeah. So I
Um
think with that being said, we can get off this subject and hopefully never talk about it ever again.
Yeah, to all of my friends that have loved this movie, Spider-Man No Way Home, I just want you to know I am a huge Spider-Man fan, and I love every iteration of Spider-Man. And I am happy they brought back who they did. I'm happy that they did all of the stuff with all of the villains. And I thought it was super cool to see Alfred Molina and Willem Dafoe come back and Jamie Foxx, even though he looked like a whole different person. I was excited to see all of it, and I think it was a good movie. And I'm glad you all enjoyed it so much. So yeah, I mean, I wanted you to talk about that because I think you've been holding that rage in about that movie, and it wasn't really rage. It was just
it's to me. I mean, the thing about it is that when I say I didn't like the movie or I didn't love the movie, everyone crucifies me for
yeah,
how'd you not like that movie? And it's not the fact that I didn't like the movie. It's a good movie,
yeah,
but you can't base a movie off pure nostalgia.
yeah,
I mean, you're not watching a movie. You're just at that point in time. You're just you're just not looking at the whole picture. I think that frustrates me.
yeah. And I think there's a lot of people that do that with a lot of different things in movies.
Yeah.
And it's not things that I really would want to get into in this podcast at all because some of it's a little deeper than that. But yeah, I think people look at movies and they go in and they watch them and they're just looking for something just to grab and say, no, this is bad. You can't do this, or this shouldn't have been like this. No, go into the movie and watch it for things that you would enjoy to watch it for. Don't go in thinking I want to pick this apart. Go in to enjoy it. And that's
I mean, movies it's entertainment.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, you're literally spending money to go do something, and this is supposed to entertain you and to. I mean, I don't think anybody makes a movie with the hopes of, man, I really hope this sucks and nobody wants to watch it. Like,
Yeah.
they want to make it entertaining, and I just don't know, man. I struggle. I just there's I feel like there's just a lot of avenues to go down right
Yeah.
now,
Yeah, you're right.
and I yeah, Marvel movies, huh?
So they're okay. Let's switch off. Let's get away from Spider-Man. There's two things that I want to talk about, and
Okay,
two
let's
of
do it.
my top tens that I put them up there for a reason. One of those, number one, is Endgame.
Okay,
Endgame,
you've got number two.
yeah, I have it up there, and you have it in yours too.
I do.
Because it did end all of the first three phases of Marvel. It brought it to a nice, sad, very sad ending point, and it let that kind of simmer. And they let it simmer for a while too. I think they let it simmer until WandaVision, right? I think they didn't have anything until WandaVision.
Yeah, correct. Well, that's
Yeah.
kind of COVID came out and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. So it was almost like the perfect time. It's almost like Endgame was real life because like
Yeah.
we literally everything just stopped after that. Like it literally was done. And I think Marvel did a really good job of building it up and then taking it right back down. And I think Endgame is up there for that reason. But not only that reason, I am a huge
I'm sorry, man. I'm so sorry.
You're good. I know basketball's on. You're good.
You are doing a good job. You were getting into it and you were serious, and then I just something major happened, and I was like,
yeah.
okay, I'm sorry.
I have it up there
Endgame.
because I'm a huge time travel fanatic.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I love time travel, and Colton hates me for it because I talk if like anything comes up involving time travel, he's like, "Oh great, this is another half-hour conversation about time travel." But
I mean, and Gunnar, I love those conversations. I love having those conversations with you, but I know I am like you just always find a way to like tweak something.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
to tweak it. And it's like, ooh.
He'll be
And I'm
saying
like,
he'll be saying something, and then I'll somehow work time travel into it, and it doesn't even have anything to do with it. But yeah, I think Endgame is up there because time travel and one for all the references. And like you said, it can't be built off nostalgia, but the fact that they talked about Back to the Future and all those movies, Hot Tub Time Machine, I think was even mentioned. Like,
I think it might have
yeah,
been.
the fact that they did some of that stuff and their take on time travel was probably closer to what time travel could actually be. Obviously, nobody knows, but I mean, the actual time travelers know. So, um, but the other one is Civil War. And I have the Civil War up there because, for one, and once again, it was a turning point. It was a big turning
Mhm.
point in the movies. But two, it has these titles that are just amazing. And there's nothing really crazy about them. They're just big white titles on the screen.
Oh.
But man, I, for some reason, just love when they're just that bold with their titles. And it happens throughout the movie. Every time they travel somewhere new, they pop this big old title up on the screen. And the one moment I really am thinking about is when they first introduced Spider-Man and they go to Queens,
Oh, and
and
they pop it. Yeah.
it's that drone shot over New York, and it's just that
Well,
huge
wasn't it over his
Queens.
apartment building?
I think it was I think it kind of switched in between. I think it started above New York and then down to the
Uh,
apartment. I think there was a transition in there somewhere. But yeah, that's why those movies are up there. And that's not the only reasons they're up there. There's a lot of other reasons, but the ones that really stick out to me the most. And I know there's some people that are listening that know that I love time travel and know that I love big titles. So or just not big titles, but unique titles, I guess.
yeah, I get that.
So let's before we end tonight, I want to talk about the shows a little bit and
The Disney Plus shows.
the Disney Plus shows.
Okay,
Yes.
good, 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 good.
Before we get off of here, because this is running a little bit longer than we probably wanted to, I'm sure. But
Probably.
so yeah, let's do a quick talk about those. And
Okay, so let's just go through. What would you rank your movies, your shows, the five shows there from least greatest to greatest.
least greatest to greatest.
Yeah, we'll start down. We'll start at the bottom and work our way to the best.
Okay, so Falcon, I think, was a good show, and I really enjoyed, seeing Sam take over the mantle of Captain America, and I think it was cool to see him and Bucky, hang out and do a lot of things together. And I do like the whole thing with all of the background stuff and the people trying to get the world back to the blip instead of taking it back to normal. I thought that was cool, but I definitely wouldn't rank it up at number one. I think number five is where it would sit. Um, and I these next three, they're all good. I love all three of these, but I would probably have to put What If at four. Um, I really, really, really liked What If. I thought it was really cool, and I think the animation was great. Um, and the different styles and the way they told different stories. And then I would say Loki, which man, Loki and Hawkeye are hard because I really, really liked both of them. But yeah, I'd have to say Loki next. And then Hawkeye, which I love seeing Kingpin come back. And I love seeing Matt Murdock come back in Spider-Man also. I think that was really cool.
Yep.
Um, so Hawkeye, then WandaVision at number one, just because that was the most unique and it told the best story. And I know it's going to play a huge role coming up in Multiverse of Madness. So,
I think.
what
I
about you?
think. Yeah. So, I think. So my least one is also as Falcon, Winter Soldier. Good for the most part. The story kind of killed it for me. I did love seeing the relationship build between Bucky and Sam.
Mm-hmm.
I think they play well together and they do great. Yeah, I just didn't like it. They're trying to set up like the Dark Avengers or something like that with the Julia with
Oh yeah,
Louis
with
Dreyfus.
yeah, yeah. It's
Um,
It's the Thunderbolts, I think.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool. That is a start. I think actually all those people are going to be brought in via they're going to be brought in via TV shows, and then they're going to get their either own TV movie or
Yeah.
um something like that. That's my thought.
Yeah.
Um 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 After that, I would oh man, it's I mean this is to me this is where it gets tough. Um I would do What If as well.
Yeah.
What If to me was a real breath of fresh air
Yeah.
to the MCU. It was different, and it was a good different. It was because it's like it really gives you like what if
Yeah.
I thought it was just a breath of fresh air. It was for fun. Obviously, at the time, I didn't think it was super serious or it would be able to translate like it did, like
And
it's
look at
going
him now.
to. Yeah, now it's like, hey, make sure you watch the Doctor Strange episode before Multiverse.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, and so I mean, I What If was good. The animations was great. I really that was to me. I think that's definitely kind of what made it for that.
Hmm.
Um, I would go Hawkeye next.
Okay.
Um, Daredevil. I like Daredevil. I love Fisk. Fisk is one of the underrated best bad guys in the MCU. I think it's mostly because Netflix had Daredevil, and not too many people knew who Fisk was.
Hmm.
And if you really haven't seen that series and you want to know more about Fisk,
You
that's
need
this.
to watch it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I put Hawkeye there. I felt like it was more like ushering out, giving Clint Barton the send off.
Yeah.
I don't know how much longer we're gonna see him. We've talked about he's gonna be the Nick Fury of the Young Avengers. That's a
Yeah.
thought. Don't know if it's gonna happen,
I,
but I could definitely see it.
yeah. I think so too. I think we've talked about that a couple times actually, where we think that he is gonna be kind of the mentor because I mean he's seen a lot and he's done a lot and he's been a part of all these big events that have happened. So yeah, I think you're right. I think he's gonna be the go-to answerer of questions, I guess.
Correct. They're
Yeah.
gonna need a mentor.
Yeah.
Um, this is where I split hairs between Loki and WandaVision.
Hmm.
Um, I have WandaVision as my number one show, but the only difference between the two, in my opinion, is that if you go through every episode between Loki and WandaVision gets better each episode.
Hmm.
Loki starts out strong, and then it's got a couple. You could tell it's got a couple filler episodes, and then
Yeah.
it ends phenomenal.
Yep.
And that's the only reason why I have WandaVision ahead of Loki, but it is super super close.
Yeah.
Obviously Loki brings us is it Kang the
Yeah.
Conqueror?
Yep. Supposedly.
So yeah,
I guess.
well, I think it's yeah, well, allegedly. We'll find
Yeah.
out. What is it? Well, that well,
Yeah. There's so much. Is he gonna be in multiverse? Is it gonna not gonna happen until something else happens? Like, man, there's so many questions and so
well, I
many
heard
answers we don't have.
Quantum. He's supposed to be the bad guy in
Ant-Man. Yeah.
The
Quantumania.
Ant Man Quantum. Yeah, something
Quantumania.
Quantumanium. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's the word. But I mean, but WandaVision, I think from start to beginning, got better each and every episode,
Yeah.
and that's why I give it just barely ahead of Loki. It's just for that reason right there.
Well,
No other fault than that.
it started out so unique too. So you're
Yeah,
watching these episodes going, what the heck am I watching? And you're so interested in seeing what's going to happen next. And then once you get that twist and they tell you what's happened, you're like, oh man, this is going to be good. And then you're right. It just gets better as it goes to the end of the, and they brought back some of those characters that you loved in the movies and in Thor, Darcy, and
Darcy and
uh,
the
Officer,
off.
what's his name? I can't think of his name right now. Officer something. Yeah, but they brought him back too, and like the first thing he does is the close up magic,
The
and
close up
you're
magic
like,
trick,
oh
yeah.
man, like
Yeah,
yeah,
and you're like, this is great. This is great. I felt like that one brought back the best. It brought back the best supporting cast
yeah, oh yeah,
from the movies to the TV show.
yeah.
And I
And you
think
had
that's another.
Owen Wilson. Oh, you had Owen Wilson in there, and
Yeah, well,
that was
Owen
great.
Wilson, he was Loki.
Oh, we're talking about WandaVision. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm
You
confused. I
lost
was
me.
like, what?
We're talking about supporting characters. I'm just thinking Owen Wilson riding a jet ski would be great to
Oh,
see.
I okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah.
got confused. I
No,
got
you're good.
confused. That's my
You're good.
bad. As long as he rides a jet ski, I think everyone will be
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, but WandaVision had the best supporting characters, and they brought back some of the best characters that we'd seen in past movies, which was nice.
I agree.
But
I agree.
I think that Owen Wilson might have played one of my favorite characters in any of the shows. I think he was just funny to watch, and he was
Man,
him. He was him.
favorite.
He was Owen Wilson. I don't think he actually played a character. I think he just played Owen Wilson.
Played himself.
Yeah.
No, because he would have used his
Wow.
patented line. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So, man, favorite. I don't know who I would pick for my favorite. I'd probably, I'd probably go with Loki.
Yeah.
I would go on the other side because I felt like he went through so many. I've always felt like I've, identified the most with Loki. When he pretty much in the second movie, which is quite arguably, it's just barely above the Hulk. It's not a very good movie.
Oh man.
But that whole scene with Frida and that connection, that mother son connection, I felt that with everything with my mom, and I've always felt like I've been able to feel what Loki feels, and when I see it, it's like, man, I know how that feels. Like I've felt that before. Like,
Yeah.
so I think I might be a little bit more sympathetic, but I feel like I can relate more to Loki.
Yeah.
So that's probably why I'd pick him.
And that makes a lot of sense. That does. Yeah.
So
all right.
Ended on a downer, but
yeah. Well, guys, that is our Marvel talk. And I just want you to know that in our daily talk, we probably mention Marvel at least once, maybe twice, depending on what's going on. And everybody, see, Morbius is April 1st. Yep. And then Doctor Strange is sometime in May.
I think it's the second weekend of May.
Yep. And then look for Ms. Marvel, which will be coming out sometime around then also, I'm pretty sure. So a lot of things Marvel has coming for us, and I'm excited. Colton and I will be seeing all these things together, and we'll be watching Ms. Marvel at the same time, more than likely. So
yep.
Look for updates from us on some of these things, and we'll try to keep our list updated as these go on. I know it's been a while.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely have to get at least phase 4 into this mix.
Yeah. Well, you need to, it looks to me like you need to buy the phase 4 DVDs. They're behind you, buddy.
Dude, man, I don't, you can't see them, but I don't have a one, so I need to get on that.
Yep. Yes, you do. All right. Anything else you want to add before we do some plugs?
I mean, St. Peter's beat Purdue, so I'm pretty ecstatic right now.
Oh, and they end up winning.
They ended up winning by 3. If
you're watching this on YouTube, watch Colton's eyes through the whole thing, and you can see him looking above his camera at his TV, which is hanging on the wall. And I noticed it about 20 minutes in, and I'm like, "Are you watching basketball?"
Oh, dude, man, I mean, I've got at least 12 messages in the last 7 minutes about this game.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Are those group chats on people?
Yeah, mostly group chats. I got one guy. I got a buddy of mine. He's a big Purdue guy, and he's like, he's all over the place right now.
Yeah.
So I got to calm him down.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay, guys. I'd
Yeah,
say
it's
it's
not
just
the
a
end of
game, but it's life. It's life is what it is.
man. To these kids, it is.
Yeah. All right. So everybody, thanks for listening to the Call Guys
Yeah,
podcast. It's been fun talking about Marvel, although we do it all the time.
and
Um,
this probably isn't the last time either.
oh no, you'll be hearing much more from us on Marvel in general. So if you want to listen to us, I will post our link tree in the podcast notes here at the bottom of the podcast, and also on social media when we post on Facebook. You can check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/the Call Guys Pod. Um, Colton's making some finger stuff going on.
I'm really hoping you put the Facebook symbol here.
Oh no, that's not gonna happen.
Aw,
I could actually. Maybe I'll do that.
I know you could. It's
Yeah.
too much work. Too much work.
Listen to us on Spotify. Just search the Call Guys podcast. Apple Music, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts. We are on about everything now. Pretty much anything. Anybody that has a cell phone, if you have a cell phone, it's probably right on your cell phone. All you gotta do is open the app and play the podcast. Check out Golden Image Podcast on Facebook, facebook.com/Golden Image Podcast. Also check out our friends at the Murdnerds. They are a true crime podcast based just solely in unsolved crimes in Indiana, which is a really cool listen. I listened to every episode the last drive I had to Pennsylvania, and I'll tell you what, they do a really good job. Listen to Golden Image Podcast. I've heard that guy Chico's on there, and he's pretty good. I was actually told today that my dad has a really good voice for podcasting, so I hope it rubs off and I get that good, nice voice when I get a little bit older.
We can only hope.
Yeah.
We can
Yeah.
only hope. Anything to make sure the emperor is make sure his and anything for the emperor to make sure his empire is safe and sound.
Yep.
So we have
Yep.
to make him happy.
Yeah. So if you listen this far, everybody, I want to thank you, and I look forward to seeing all of you next time. And I hope you enjoyed our talk about our favorite Marvel movies and some of the other things that we hit on at the beginning of the podcast here.
Put yours in the comments, rate and review us.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd love to listen to your guys' top 5, or tell us why our top 5 sucks, or just I've enjoyed. I've actually talked to people who've listened to the podcast and have talked about their the daily question, or the question of the pod or something like that.
Yeah.
They're like telling me that, or they have I didn't think about that when I watched that, or that's been really fun to have the interaction with some of those people. So really enjoy that. So I hope to get some more coming, especially from this, because I feel like this is a big this could be a big topic we could talk to with a lot of people.
Yeah, and I know that there are a lot of things that a lot of people that we're going to talk about that people don't really want to listen to, which is okay. And that's kind of why we're going to mix it up a little bit, and we're going to talk about a little bit of everything. At the beginning of the podcast, we'll talk about, how our week was and what we've been up to, and like just some random stuff, and do the question of the podcast just to kind of get some feedback there. So I'm glad for the people that stick around and listen, but I'm okay if you come and you listen for a while and you're not interested. Yeah, come back next week. Maybe we'll talk about something you want to hear. So,
all right, man. Sounds good.
Yeah, I've good talking, Colton. I will. I'll talk to you tomorrow, probably.
More than likely, brother.
All right. Later.
Peace out.